Asian stereotypes and jokes are so played out.
Yeah.
It's the same shit that we've heard for the last 50 years. Like, miss me with that. It's so boring at this point.
Asian food is better than American food. 3, 2, 1.
No. Where do you stand?
Wait, describe American food though. I just thought of hamburgers and like
Like hamburgers and meatloaf and stuff?
Yeah, and meatloaf and mashed potatoes and stuff. So I'm like, of course Asian food's better than that.
I was just denied Asian food for a long time. My mom wanted to be Caucasian. She wanted me to grow up as a white person. And I think I was maybe 10 or 11 when I truly experienced Korean cuisine. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
What she's saying I find really common because when I grew up, my parents were both people from Vietnam. They wanted us to assimilate as much as possible and not be made fun of. So I love Asian food, it's who I am, but I'm from Texas, so I grew up on chicken fried steak and biscuits and all that kind of stuff. So I fucking love American food.
I have felt pressure to date within my own race. 3, 2, 1.
My dad doesn't care. He's happy no matter if I'm happy. My mom never specifically said it, but it was almost like if I don't bring home a Korean or a Caucasian, which is her preference, I don't know if she's gonna disown me. I don't know, will she kind of push away a little bit from me? And I don't want that.
My parents, at one point in time, were very heavily you need to marry a Vietnamese person. But as I got older, I understood why for them, because it's more about, we just want to be able to relate to the person that you're actually with so we can talk to them too.
For me, it's really interesting because I'm actually married to a black woman. I'm Chinese Malaysian, but I grew up with a white father. White people were definitely always an option, but then, other groups of people, it's well, we're not really sure that they're that great.
That often seems to be the case. It's you can date white or Asian and everyone else off the table for some reason.
Asian stereotypes are funny. 3, 2, 1.
Are funny? I feel somewhat disagree.
Okay,
We're not judging. You can choose
what was
whatever
the
you want.
decision making in your head during that?
Well, my
moment?
head is stereotypes are a reflection of perceived behavior. And also, I write comedy. And so I'm constantly thinking of ways to maybe subvert a stereotype to get a laugh. I feel it's always dangerous, though, because you never know if the joke is going to be perceived as oh, they're making fun of this stereotype or they're reinforcing this stereotype.
But even then, you're saying the stereotype itself is not funny, but your subversion of it is.
Okay,
So
maybe I'll move down. See,
I think I'm just tired of Asian stereotypes and jokes are so played out.
Yeah.
If it's the same shit that we've heard for the last 50 years in American culture, then miss me with that. It's so boring at this point. I don't find it funny.
Well, I totally understand from another point of view how that's absolutely inappropriate, but from a personal level, I'm not offended, I'm not hurt. Some of them are actually yeah, that's kind of true.
What's an example, I guess?
yeah, actually, I might move again. For instance, me as a Korean, if I were to say something about how I feel a lot of Koreans behave, Koreans love K-pop, boy bands. It could be funny, and it's not necessarily an offensive stereotype.
But growing up with Asian men have small penises and all sorts of other emasculating kind of stereotypes. Those kind of stereotypes play into why can't I be the love interest? Because I have a small penis, but I don't actually know that, and why does it matter?
What you're talking about is a stereotype that's been put upon Asians by non-Asians. If we Asians want to talk about subcultures in Asia and make fun of shit, Totally down. Might find it funny. We'll see how the
That's where
joke
I was
is.
coming from.
Totally. I guess like when you say, when the statement is Asian stereotypes are funny, I'm often thinking about Western stereotypes about Asians. And I'm like, no, it's not funny. You know what I mean?
Asian people have it easier than other minorities. 3, 2, 1.
When you say it has it easier, I think it discounts the amount of work that's gone into building those communities up, people working up towards, becoming professionals or white-collar professionals. Like, I don't think Asians have it easier. I think many Asians have just fought harder. I'm not saying the other communities don't, I think they have earned it.
I think that part of like how white supremacy works to kind of like cover up is to say like, well, if this one group of minorities is doing so well, then there can't be racism in this country. We as Asian Americans have to understand that we are props for white supremacy when we buy into the idea that all of this stuff that we've gotten is purely through our hard work.
I do think Asians do have it easier just because we're not portrayed so negatively.
Yeah, we don't have as many like overtly like negative stereotypes that are like thrown at us,
Yes.
you know?
I mean, like, you look at immigration, and like nobody's freaking out about Asians coming into the country, which I feel like it's just been interesting to me to see, especially also like Asian Americans that are okay with it because it's not them right now. In that sense, I'm like, oh, we must have it easier because we're not concerned about what's happening to other people.
I would move to my heritage country permanently. 3, 2, 1.
Super conflicted on this one.
I went to the motherland maybe like 5 years ago, and I thought that it was just gonna be like so much fun and they were gonna like be accepting, and for the most part they are. But when I went there, I realized like I'm not from here. Like it was really pretty obvious.
I mean, I definitely want to connect to the culture that I was born into, but also a huge part of my identity is my queerness. And in Malaysia, LGBTQ people definitely don't have the same legal protections, if they have any protections at all. And so that is painful to know that if I went back, I wouldn't be accepted.
It's a funny thing that happens when I go back to China, which is like the feeling that I never get here, which is like when you walk onto a public street, you feel like you're not identified by what you look like, which is amazing. But that being said, like I feel culturally, I'm American. I love being here, and I think that being like an individual with freedom is like part of who I am, in the sense that I wouldn't necessarily fit in China. And I feel like so much of the time we're like asked to be like, well, are you Asian or are you American? It's like, no, like I'm Asian American. I don't think we have to be that or this.
Asian culture is important to me. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it's important to me.
Don't feel judged, it's all right.
It's okay, we just want to know what you think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think about this a lot, is like sometimes I forget that I'm Asian, and then like it's kind of jarring to be reminded that I am. And so like,
Were you raised like with strong cultural values and stuff?
I'm a military brat. And so even though I grew up in Korea, it was on the military base. And so it was like an American high school in like a small American city in the middle of Seoul. Me and my brother were usually the only Asian kids. So I remember kind of like, do I want to stand out as like the only Asian kid, or do I just want to be another one of the kids?
I think there can be balance in that. And that was the biggest problem I had growing up, is that I didn't know if I wanted to be American so bad. I thought I had to choose a side. And then eventually I was like, look, both are part of who I am. But what has furthered this strongly agree part is that I have a 3-year-old child. He's half Chinese, half Vietnamese. And I don't want him to live with the confusion that I grew up with.
For me, like, I feel a lot of pain still and a lot of grief, because when we moved to the US, and this was like in a time still where you need to speak to your kids in English. They have to just know English, and anything else will confuse them. So my mom stopped speaking to me in Hakka, and I forgot that language. And we also didn't really celebrate any cultural traditions, you know, Chinese or Malaysian or Chinese Malaysian. I have no idea what that really is. And so my culture is important to me, but I'm still like trying to find my way back to it.
It's like you grow up, you're like socialized to fit in, right? And it often means casting aside like the culture that you grew up in. I feel like we're all experiencing it to some degree of like, hey, should I like look into like where I came from more? It's a great thing if you can be proud of where you came from. I'm glad that we're connecting to that.
That was so fun.
That was interesting.
Oh my goodness.
That was very, very curious.
Can I be friends with all of you on social media?
I would love to be.
Yeah, cool. Let's get some context.
Subscribe to Jubilee.
And if you strongly agree, subscribe and let us know what you thought in the comments below. See you next time.